Hey, what's up, everybody? So, I just wanted to hop on here and talk about my latest out of body experience, which happened last night. And it was a really interesting experience for me. I got to talk to some entities that actually wanted to have a conversation with me and felt benevolent and answered some questions for me regarding the non-physical world versus the physical world and death and stuff like that. So it was extremely interesting and very like progressive for me. Like I feel like I've made progress in what I've been doing this for and why I've been doing it, and it was a great experience. I'm just lucky I was able to have it, and it kind of confirms for me that I'm on the right path with all this stuff, and I'm going to keep it going. I was going to keep it going either way, but so anyway, this is the third night in a row that I've gotten out of body. So I feel like I'm getting my groove back a little bit, and I also feel lucky for that. And I think that's mainly due to just more patience I've been expressing lately, less physical worries and anxiety and letting things bother me, stuff like that. I still I'm still not perfect or anything like that, but I've been able to let things go a little bit better and just not worry about little things that I know shouldn't be taking up too much time or worries and stuff like that. So this specific experience, I had a lot of false awakenings, and I'll probably be saying last night a lot because it happened last night. So just know that I'm referring to this experience. So for whoever doesn't know what a false awakening is, it's when you wake up in your bed after getting some sleep and it feels like you physically woke up, but you actually are in the non physical realm. So it's almost like an Inception type of thing for whoever's seen that movie. That's the easiest example to relate it to. Waking up within a dream, stuff like that. That happened to me probably 4 or 5 times last night. And so now I'll get into the actual experience itself. Basically, it started, and I didn't realize my first false awakening that I was non physical. I woke, and just to preface, all of my out of body experiences, I pretty much kind of meditate a little bit before bedtime. Try to get my internal vision going a little bit, do some breathing exercises, focus on my peripheral vision, uh, try to pay attention to the sensations my body's feeling, the ringing in my ear, and I try to just let go of whatever's like clouding my brain. Like if I have like a lot of thoughts going on that I'm just like thinking about the past or something like that, or if I did something right or what's going to happen in the future, just all sorts of physical type of anxiety thoughts. I kind of self talk with myself, let myself know, everything is okay. You can go to bed now. You don't have to worry about all this stuff. It'll always be there in the morning, stuff like that. Also, I like to just self talk with myself in general about what I'm going to try to do that night, which is have an out of body experience. So I'm going to try to keep my mind, or not try, I'm going to keep my mind awake while my body falls asleep. So that's like kind of my pre bed. When I lay down for bed, I go over this stuff a little bit as a meditation type to prep myself to have an out of body experience when I fall asleep and then wake up later. And for me, I always end up waking up in the middle of the night at some point. As long as I get to bed at a relatively decent hour, I don't have to set an alarm or anything like that. So I'm pretty lucky in that sense. I guess at this point, and when it started, it all kind of happens a little more naturally for me. So for the experience itself, I ended up waking up with a false awakening, but I didn't realize it at the time. I usually keep my bedroom door which is right out this hallway here. You can see the doorway out there. A little bit cracked. And last night I woke up and it was completely open. And I kind of thought to myself, like, oh, that's a little weird. Like, I usually have that cracked. But I kind of brushed it off. Like, maybe my cat pushed it open or something like that. So, thinking that, and at this time, like, I felt like I was physically awake. Like, completely felt like myself. There was no auditory hallucinations. There was nothing weird going on to make me think, like, hey, I'm out of body, except for the fact that the door didn't look right. But that should have been enough there. But anyway, I go back to sleep thinking everything's just normal. And then I wake up again. And this time, the door is cracked again. So then I think in my head, okay, it was not cracked before. Oh my gosh, I must have been non-physical before. So I'm like, crap, I missed it. But little did I know I was still non-physical. But not even realizing that, because the door was cracked this time, I thought I was physical. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm just going to go back to sleep again. Then I wake up, a false awakening a third time. And this time I hear voices. And so it sounded like people, and I have a neighbor who's super cool. He has people over sometimes, and we share, our doors are like right next to each other. We're in like a condo area. I still didn't realize I was non-physical. I don't know why. I guess I just turned off my thought for the night, and I was like, I'm going to sleep and not worrying about this tonight. But I was pulled into the out of body experience last night, and I'm okay with that. Like I said, it ended up being a really good experience. So anyway, I'm just thinking in my head, like, what the heck? Why does my neighbor have people over at this point? And I walk out there and to see what's going on, and it's like this older lady is knocking on his door, and she looks at me. I look at her. I think we exchanged words, but I don't really know. And then one of his best friends, I saw his car in the parking lot, and I saw him walking down the path, and I kind of just like walked away and was like, all right, I'm going back to sleep. I get back in bed, close my eyes again, and I have a fourth false awakening. This time I think I'm physically awake again. And what happens is my brother is in this, I have like a big love sack thing in the corner of my room, fluff sack, whatever. And he had my cat was with him, and he was like petting my cat. And he said to me, Steve, somebody's outside. Or he said, Steve, people are outside. So I kind of rush outside and to catch the person. Like, what are they doing out there? Like, he said it in a way to make me think like something was up, like someone's messing with my house or something like that. So I ran outside, and nobody was out there. And plus my cat, he'll sometimes run out the door. So I remember opening the door and closing it really quick, and nobody was out there. But then I looked down and I saw my cat Zeus running around in the yard, and it was like pitch dark out, so I got super nervous that he was going to run away or something. And he didn't. He just came right back up to me after I got nervous, and I grabbed him and I went back inside. And that was it. I still didn't realize I was non-physical. I have a fifth false awakening. And this time I pinch my arm like I should have did every other time. Because that's like, I pinch like right under here where my tricep is, because it hurts when you do that in physical life. But when you do it in non-physical, there's no pain. You don't have any nerves. It just feels like a strong pressure, depending on how painful it's supposed to be. So I finally do this, and then I finally realize I'm non-physical. This time, I decided to make something of it and try something. And I was thinking about the fact that people, and I'm in this Discord channel, and it's an awesome Discord channel. I can link it in the description of this video, but there's so many cool people in there, and we have great conversations about the spiritual realm and stuff like that. And everyone seems to be very helpful with each other. And so I think someone in there was talking about doorways being like being a kind of like a teleportation device or like a portal to another place. So I thought to myself, I'm gonna use my bedroom doorway to go somewhere. And I didn't have anywhere in particular in mind. Like I wasn't like visualizing somewhere I wanted to be or anything like that. I was just thinking I'm gonna use this doorway as a portal. That was like my main intent. I wanted to be somewhere, but I usually like going somewhere random because it's interesting to me to see where I wind up. And also last weekend, I was meditating and the same doorway. I feel like I got like a kind of like a visual vision type of thing of the doorway looking like a portal type. So I guess my brain was connecting to, and I just thought like, okay, that doorway right now is a good thing to do this with. So anyway, I reach out, I grab the door handles. The door's slightly cracked like it usually is, and I close my eyes and I start to open the doorway. And as I'm opening the doorway, I'm just thinking like this is gonna take me somewhere. Like I said, I wasn't thinking anything specific, like where I'm gonna go. So I remember seeing some light fill up in my vision, and then I ended up in the void, which I don't know if everybody knows what the void is. It's basically like a black area all around you, up, down, left, right. It's all black from what I saw, and that's only my second time in there, at least that I remember. And but this time it was different. I could like feel. I remember like moving my arm, and it was almost like I was underwater, but I could like feel things through while moving my arm. It was super interesting, and it felt like blissful in a way. So this void state, it also felt like I was I was being like brought backwards a little bit. And this void state lasted for probably 5 to 10 seconds. It was really quick, and I had my eyes open once I was in the void. I had my eyes closed at first when I was starting, and then I opened them up when I was in the void state. And basically, and to give a little bit more detail, it was like the environment in front of me dissipated in front of my eyes and turned into the void. And then when I was in my new environment, it like got created in front of me really fast. So I didn't move the whole time. It just felt like I was being brought backwards slowly a little bit. And I moved my arm through it a little bit. And then, like I said, the environment created itself in front of me pretty quickly. It wasn't like very slow. It was like it like formed almost. And then I was in my childhood house, my parents' old house, somewhere I lived for 15 plus years of my life, somewhere I love. It's very close to my heart. And I was in the hallway right in front of my parents' bedroom, and the realm was light. It was like daytime out, but it had sort of a I don't want to use the word heavenly to describe it because I've never been to heaven or anything like that, but it had like a really nice feeling throughout the whole house. Like there was just light, energy, and flowing through it. So I open up my parents' bedroom, and my two dogs are there. Or my parents' dogs, but I grew up with them, and they were on the bed, and I was super excited to see them. They were super excited to see me. So I jumped on the bed. I played with them for about 10 seconds, and it was just It was great. I loved it. So then I was like, all right, I'm going to go downstairs and see what's going on down there. So I hop out of the bed. I walk down the steps and I go into the dining room area because I saw my mom in the kitchen. And I wasn't really sure at this point if I was like seeing them like in physical life or if this was like they were in the non-physical realm or what was really going on or if they were just things that represented my family or really I just didn't know if they could see me and I could see them and they couldn't see me or really what was happening. So my mom was in the kitchen, so I kind of like peeked over like just to look what was going on, like hoping they wouldn't see me. And I saw my brother walk through the kitchen as well, and he had his old hair, which he used to have long hair. And so what I got from that was that I went like to the past a little bit, which may or may not be true, but he looked younger, my mom looked younger, and I knew I was me as I am now. So I knew I was older, but it felt like I was me back then in my old body or something like that. And then I saw my dad in the back room and he started walking towards me. So I was like, oh crap, I gotta get out of here. So I went into the garage and he called me. He was like, yo, Steve, what's up, man? And he was just like, he just said, what's up? It was all love. And I was like, oh, hey. And I was like, I didn't know what was happening. It was just a cool experience. It kind of made me feel like I was you know, in a simpler time in my life. And to be honest, it made me appreciate my family more. I always appreciate and love my family, but just having that intimate experience with them, um, that was really cool. And I just got a lot of love for them and everything. And I really care about them. And also, I have two older sisters. They weren't there at the time. So my only thought was they were moved out already. So I went back to a time period where they were moved out and my brother and I were living there, which was real life. That happened for a little bit. So anyway, after my dad and I had our little conversation for a brief second, I ended up waking back up in my bed again for the final false awakening of the night. And this time I still knew I was non-physical. And I ended up going through my house, out the front door. And when I've been getting out of body lately, I've been thinking like I want to jump into the pond because one time that was a portal to a different place for me. But lately it hasn't been working out like that. So I think that was just kind of my default thought, like the last thing I wanted to do for the night. But what I wanted to do didn't matter at that point because there was end up being four entities that wanted to have a conversation with me, and they did not seem malevolent. They seemed very good. I didn't have any bad energy coming from them or anything like that. So I was like, all right. So at first, when I went outside, and the first two had the form of my mom and dad. I don't know why these entities look, or maybe they're just dream characters. Maybe it's all a figment of my imagination. I don't personally think that. You can think whatever you want. But my mom and dad were the first two, and they were kind of talking with each other about me. They were like observing me and talking about me to each other, but I could hear what they were saying. But I was just ignoring them and doing my thing. So I start climbing trees, which I usually do. I love doing that. And so I'm climbing up this one tree and I hear my mom, the person taking the form of my mom, like kind of worried, like, look at him, he's not ready, or stuff along those lines. Like what is he doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then my dad, he was just kind of laughing, like, what do you mean? He's fine. He's just doing his thing. And then so I jump off the tree towards the pond area, and there's also like many other people around. I don't know. It seemed like it was like a party type of setting, like a pool party type in a pond. and there ended up being like a bar on one side, and I don't really know what all that means. I'm just letting you guys know, like, there was more than just my mom and dad there. So then I don't remember like the exact specifics, but I got away from the pond area and there was like this little lounge area, and there was two other entities sitting there, and the mom and dad people, they sat right to my right, and there was a guy diagonal to my left, and then there was a guy straight ahead of me. And so at first I look at the guy to the left, and I realize that these four beings are here to have a conversation with me. I don't know how I realized that. It's a lot of unspoken things in the non-physical. So anyway, I looked to the first guy and I asked him something along the lines of, "Am I out of body right now?" And he kind of like looked annoyed in a way. Like he was like, "Are you seriously asking that?" And he kind of like muttered something like about a dream. So I looked at him. I was like, "Well, dreams and out of body are like the same thing. They're just kind of different forms of it, right?" And he looked at me again and he was like, "Yeah." Like something like that. And then so I was like, "All right." That to me kind of confirmed that the non-physical realm is very real, just as real as the physical world. I got a yes from him, I think. I don't know why he was annoyed, whatever. So then the second guy, I look at him, and I really don't remember my specific question to him, but I think it was something about death, like, do you come here when you die, or something like that. And he was a nicer, like, more open for conversation type, I could tell, but he kind of like didn't really answer or didn't want to answer. So I was like, "What, are you not allowed to answer that question or tell me?" Basically asking him like, "Are there rules to this? Like, you can't give me certain knowledge?" And he nodded. After that, he left me with kind of a profound thought, at least for myself. He looked at me straight in the eye and kind of got in my face as he was saying it. He was like, because we were on the topic of death, and he looked at me and he was like, "Are you ready?" Like hinting, like, "Are you ready to die?" And from there, the out of body experience, it just kind of dissipated, and I physically woke up, and it was over. And I looked at the clock. It was like 6:50 a.m. I usually get up for work somewhere 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. So I decided to write down the whole experience and share it with the Discord channel instead of just going back to sleep for like another half hour, because I really wanted to remember as much as I could about this one. And so that last little comment he made, it really made me think, like, and no, my answer is no. Like, I'm not ready to die. Even though I love experiencing the non-physical world, I also love the physical world, and I love the people I care about here. And I feel like I'm someone who can help other people. I'm not saying like, I'm trying to be Superman or everything and help all these people, but I know if I put my story out there, someone might see it, relate to it, or get something from it. It's just something simple along those lines. Or maybe one of my purposes is to spread the word about this non-physical stuff and just let people know that there's more to life than what this physical world is offering. And in fact, a lot of what the physical world does offer are straight up lies, deceptions, things to make you fearful. So that's all the type of stuff that's this non-physical stuff is really helping me with, because I had scary experiences with it. I'm not as fearful in everyday life. I take things that I learned from the non-physical and I apply them to physical living. So after this experience, when I woke up in the morning, I was filled with wanting to live better, and just I could tell I was gonna have a good day, um, and that was really special for me because I think sometimes I let little stuff get the better of me. All these experiences that I'm having, they're just helping me day to day life, like realize a bigger picture a little bit and not get so caught up with stuff that's pretty insignificant and everything like that. So, um, that's pretty much it for the experience. Sorry if it's a little bit long. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed listening. If you did, and please share your experiences with me in the comments. I love hearing about other people's stuff and all that. So there's definitely going to be more to come, especially when I have like a more vivid experience like I did last night. And I'm still going to try to make videos about like my older experiences when I was first starting off, because I mentioned in other videos, it's been about a year and a half, I would say, since I started to be able to induce an out of body experience. And even prior, like a year or two before that, I was waking up in sleep paralysis, so I have experiences that way too. And yeah, it's a big part of my life right now, and I worked it into my daily sleep schedule so it doesn't impede on my life in any way. So y'all be hearing much, much more. So appreciate y'all. Peace.